Hello 7th graders, and welcome back to your instruction launch for English 7. I want you to know that the first project, Cultural Narratives, should have been completed by now, as the due date was November the 1st. If you are not done, then you're missing the boat because the ship has sailed on. You're going to have to do some quick catching up. We are working on the book The Outsiders, and if you recall, that book is in your English 7 course. You pull down, scroll down, you'll see that there is a link to it here where you can open it up and read the story. You're also welcome to find any recordings of the story because it was made into a very famous movie. Here is some backstory on the book The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton.
Susan Eloise Hinton was born in 1950 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Outsiders was published in 1967 when Hinton was only 17. She began writing the first draft of the novel at the age of 15. Writing and rewriting took a year and a half before Hinton was happy with the final product. Hinton has received numerous honors and awards for The Outsiders and several of her other young adult novels. Top 3 things every student should know about the novel. 1. Hinton allows readers to take an active role in the story. She uses foreshadowing and challenges the reader to anticipate what is coming next. This technique works well because it does not distract readers from the story's action. It encourages critical thought and increases anticipation. 2. The story ends and opens with the same line, quote, "When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had just 2 things on my mind, Paul Newman and a ride home," unquote. The fact that this story ends with the same line that it opens with creates a full circle. This twist prompts the reader to read the book again, this time discovering that the outcome is within Ponyboy all of the time. It just literally needs to be spelled out for us, the reader. 3. 16 years after it was published, director Francis Ford Coppola turned The Outsiders into a movie of the same name. The book is a coming-of-age novel, but the movie focuses on the character's loss of innocence. To find out more about this literature note, get homework help in many other subjects, or give us your feedback, please visit cliffsnotes.com.
Hopefully by now you have begun to read a little bit of The Outsiders or watch the movie and are starting to get familiar with the characters of the book. The protagonist being Ponyboy Curtis and his brother Gary, or Daryl Curtis, his other brother Soda Pop Curtis, his friend Johnny Cade, and the antagonist of the story, Gally Winston, along with Cherry Valance. There are some more characters, along with Ponyboy Curtis, Daryl or Gary, Soda Pop. There's 2-Bit Matthews, Steve Randall, and Cherry, who everybody calls Cherry Valance. There are some definite themes in this novel. Man versus man, man versus self, and man versus society. In Man versus Man, it is 2 groups, the Socias versus the Greasers. Some people have modernized the story and say it's sort of like the nerds versus the jocks, or the unpopulars versus the populars. Man versus Self is all about our narrator, Ponyboy, when he's not able to understand that there's a lot of violence and his struggle to find strength, even when things are against him, or in Man versus Society, when Johnny Cade does not live in the story, we wonder why. Was he guilty of the murder, as some people think that he was, or was there more to the story? So what you will need to do for this project is to pick out a character, one of the many characters in the book, and write about that character. So what are you going to do now? You're going to go to your Summit English and open up the project Outsiders on Trial. Then you're going to create a character analysis. That's one of your products. And a paper to claim your character's guilt or innocence of a crime. So let's take a look at what you need to do. Again, your final product is going to be a paragraph about your character. Write a paragraph. A paragraph is more than a sentence. It's usually 5 sentences. A paragraph explaining how your character's personality develops over the course of the novel, over time. Use at least 3 examples, how they change over time. And then another thing that you're going to create is a mock trial brief. You're going to pretend to be an attorney and write a brief, meaning writing, again, another paragraph or 2 about your character and why they are guilty or are they innocent because they're your client. We will not do the mock trial. The mock trial would be if you were with a group of students. This is kind of hard for us to do, so we're going to skip that part. We're going to make sure that you get the paragraph done and the trial brief, preparing for defending or offending your character. So what's the first thing you're going to do is go to a checkpoint. Analyzing development. When you open this up, it won't look just like this. Yours will probably be blank because I moved this over. I found this over here with the notes. There'll be a lot of resources. Now, resources aren't what you turn in. Resources are what you study. So there'll be a resource here, which means another PowerPoint. So you'll be looking at a PowerPoint about characters and how characters develop over time. So it would be a good idea to go through this PowerPoint and read and ask yourselves these questions so that you can get ready to analyze your character. So as you analyze your character, you're going to look at that character's development and you're going to take some notes for yourself. The notes are over here on the side. If you click that, you'll be able to copy and paste this template in and talk about your character, what your character was like when they were a kid, what they're like in late teens, and what are they like after the story ends. And here is a character map. What kind of things does the character think? What does the character do? What does the character look like? What are your impressions of the character, and what is their speech like? What do they fear? What might be something that's not exactly right about their character? What do they want? What's their attitude? What do they value and what do they want to be? So this is where you're going to write a paragraph about your character. Learners, I would really like you to make it your goal to start working on the first checkpoint this week so that you can move on and do the other checkpoints. There's one. Here's the second one. You're going to collect evidence from the book. You're going to develop an outline for your brief. And your brief is defending your character as you learn more about them, reading about them. And then the last thing is you're going to write your mock trial brief and submit that. But let's go back here and start analyzing your character first this week. So as a reminder, your first project, Cultural Narratives, really should be done by now because you're making more work for yourself as that ship has sailed. This project is due on December 21st. That means you have less than a month to get it done. But it's really a very easy project once you read the book, watch the movie, understand the characters, pick out a character to analyze, and then defend that character for your final project. Okay, have a great week.